Jim and Angela Daniel, and we are happy to be able to share a Lenten devotion with you, and hope that you will learn as much in listening as we learned in doing some research. Jim, would you like to read this?
Reading from John 2, verses 1 through 12. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied. "My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby stood six stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone bring out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink, but you have saved the best till now." What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this, he went down to Capernaum with his mother and brothers and his disciples. Then they stayed for a few days.
Thank you. It was pretty easy to come up with a prop for this little presentation. Think for a moment about any occasion, any celebration you may have been responsible for or a participant in, and imagine that all of a sudden there's nothing to drink. There's nothing left, be it wine or iced tea or water. It's all gone. Now, today, we could probably remedy that pretty easily, but not so in Jesus' day. And it would have been very important to have very fine wine for your guests. So listen to some things we learned about this very familiar story. I imagine we all have heard the story of Jesus turning the water into wine many, many times. So let's take a listen at some of the things that scholars and laypersons have thought about over the years. First of all, Mary had a very important role here. There is a debate over how Jesus addresses his mother at the beginning of this story. He says, "Woman, why do you involve me?" Now today, if one of my sons came to me and said, "Woman, why are you doing what you're doing?" I would take that as a sign of disrespect, and I wouldn't be very happy. But the Greek word for woman does not denote any disrespect. So this would not have been disrespectful at all. An interesting fact here is that the Gospel of John does not refer to her as Mary, not at all, throughout the whole book. But he refers to her as Jesus' mother. John is the only book where Jesus' mother is present at the beginning of his ministry and at his death. Now, because this was Jesus' first miracle, how did Mary know he could do this? Why did she call on him to do this? Was it by faith? Was it because she had faith that he could do this? Jesus is still trying to help his mother and his disciples and his friends understand just exactly who he is. It is important to consider also where the water was held in this story. It is held in huge stone jars, and stone is symbolic of purity. We're not told when exactly or where precisely the water was turned into wine, but the assumption is that only the servants saw this happen. There is no account of this miracle being viewed by the public, but only by servants. We are accustomed to calling this a miracle. We frequently refer to this as the miracle of Jesus turning the water into wine. But John simply calls it a sign. Is it because the true purpose is to lead the reader to believe in Jesus as the true vine? A grapevine draws water out of the soil and produces fruit. Jesus, in turn, gives the living water of the Holy Spirit to all who ask, which in turn produces spiritual fruit in our lives if we're willing to be his disciples. Here endeth this particular lesson. Thank you.
Let's see what happened. I'm not doing it again.